Where are we going this week? Back to Speyside. Hello again, I'm Nathan. Welcome back to Whiskey Wednesday on Wasn't My Fault. As I said, back to Speyside in Scotland. So this will be more of a fruity, light, refreshing kind of whiskey as opposed to all the Islay whiskies and stuff like that that are really strong and kind of overpowering. So this one is called Copper Dog. So Copper Dog is named after something that people used to do back in the day. They'd have these little flasks called a Copper Dog that they'd keep hidden away in their trousers. I'm not going to say what that might have looked like. And they'd steal little bits of the whiskey that they were distilling. So that's why it's called Copper Dog. It's from that tradition. So interesting little bit of history. So let's see what it's like. If I can even open it. There we go. Perforations are rip off as always. So nice clean fresh bottle, nice cork. Okay, nice looking bottle. So as always, we shall take a normal measure. Nice pop. I just like the sound corks make. I prefer them to screw caps, although screw caps in some ways are easier, maybe a little bit tighter and so on, you know you've closed it. But I just like the kind of traditional nature of the cork. There's something satisfying about it. Okay then. So, nice amber colour, not too dark as you would expect from something from Scotland. Yeah, so as expected, a lot lighter and fruitier and kind of floral on the nose. Honey, fruits, kind of a peachy kind of thing, or apricot. It's that kind of fruit rather than the kind of citrusy fruit. It's more peachy, sort of apricot, that sort of thing, or apricot, depending on where you're from. And lots of honey. Definitely lots of honey as well. It's pleasant. There's nothing kind of overpowering. It's just kind of sweet smelling, said a little bit floral, a little bit fruity. Nothing unexpected. Very fruity aftertaste in that, so that's quite interesting. A little bit lingery as well, it's good. So, how it starts off, as you expect, kind of sweet honey, a little bit biscuity as well, kind of digestive-y. Possibly some kind of chocolate notes to it as well. Kind of then leads into more of the kind of fruit and floral notes. So it's definitely quite a bit of fruit in the kind of more the aftertaste as it kind of dissipates. And then weird at the end, you're left with kind of a salty mouthfeel at the end. Kind of like I do with the Islay and stuff like that, where it's just, your mouth just kind of feels salty at the end. I wasn't expecting that in the kind of finish of it. Some of the wood flavours come through kind of bring everything together. So it starts off with a kind of honey, sweet, and kind of biscuity, and you get the kind of wood tones as it moves into the kind of fruit notes, but the wood spiciness of it, I guess, is like the oakiness and so on, kind of plays through, and then it all drops off and just kind of, like I said, it's kind of like a weird salt aftertaste to it, mingled with the fruit and so on, but it just kind of leaves with that kind of salt aftertaste. Interesting. What do other people say about it? So, it's 40% by the way, which is kind of expected. Okay, so peach, pear, dried apple, classic Speyside, honey, cereal notes. Yeah, kind of. So chocolate digestives, nutty malt, orange peels, and soft simmering spices. And the finish, baked goods and honey covered fruit. I got kind of similar to that. Obviously, it's all subjective, but I think I got quite a bit of that. That's not bad. It's one of those more kind of, you can just sit and relax with. It's not going to hit you in the face like a lot of the other ones. It's not overly strong. It's not too much of an alcohol burn or anything like that. It's just a pleasant, nice whiskey that, you know, has a few different flavours in it. Not too complex, just enough to keep it interesting. So let's carry on and do what we always do and mix it up a bit. Okay, so we have everything lined up ready. Let's get this going. Oh, my ice cube broke. It's always annoying when it breaks in half. Not even like where the seam is, it just broke. How frustrating. Anyway, one standard 25mm shot in each of these. So I'm not going to expect huge surprises. Expect surprises. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be amazing with all of these, because being a space side, it is quite subtle flavours. So I'm not sure if it'll work with a lot of these, as well as some others like the strong bourbons for things like the old fashioned. But I've been surprised before with how different whiskey combinations work, so you never know. This might be quite interesting. So let's get a little bit of water first of all, and mix all the others quickly. So then they're all ready to taste one after the other. And yes, I know, I forgot the orange today, so there's no orange peel in my old fashioned, so I'll just have to make do as it is. Oh well, never mind. Okay, so a little bit of water. So right off the bat, not as much honey. There's a lot more sort of apricot smelling to it. Definitely a lot fruitier on those. Not as much wood spice. Still there a little bit. And still that kind of strange salty aftertaste from it, which I'm really not expecting. No idea where that's coming from. It's just not sweet. It's the same sort of flavours. The honey has kind of been taken out of it, and the slight sort of biscuit tones are kind of out, and it's just the kind of fruitiness and the oakiness of it, if I could even talk. So once again, not a lot on the nose, possibly the glass, possibly because there's a big chunk of ice in it. Okay, once again, it took out the honey notes. There's a bit of fruit, and you're kind of left with more of the wood spice. The oakiness is kind of predominant. It's not too overly alcoholic. A lot of times when you put ice in it, you strip out all the interesting flavours and just leave alcohol, but that's not too bad. It's still quite pleasant to drink. It's got more alcohol burn than the normal one does, definitely, and it doesn't have the honey notes. It makes it more of a savoury drink, I suppose, rather than a sweet one, which, you know, it's reasonable. Okay, now with Coke, well, Pepsi Max, you know. You can tell there's alcohol in it. It brings some of the fruity flavours, not overly, just a little bit. It just changes up the Coke to have a few more flavours into it, which is quite interesting, to be honest. I don't mind that at all. I was expecting the Coke to kind of overpower it, but it does have some of the fruit notes and that sort of thing. It takes out the harshness of any of the wood spices and that sort of thing, and just leaves some of the pleasant kind of fruity notes. Quite interesting. So this is one I expect to not do a lot, but I have been very surprised with some of the more sort of easier drinking scotches. So it's not just smelling of coffee. There's something else in there, but it's not an overpowering smell. It just doesn't smell just like coffee. It smells like there's something in it, but I can't identify. I'm having trouble talking today. Can't really identify what it smells like. It just doesn't smell like coffee in quite the same way. Strange. So, with the coffee, with some it introduces more earthy tones. Ooh, that has an aftertaste. Okay, so basically what it's done is taken away more of the harsh bitterness of the coffee. That obviously, strong black coffee, you expect harshness. Most of that is taken away apart from a slight aftertaste I'm just getting now as it kind of lingers. But it takes away that and just kind of levels out the coffee a little bit. There's little notes of fruit, just small kind of hints that there's something kind of fruity to it, but not really identifiable. It just gives you that kind of feel. But then after the coffee's finished and it's gone, it does kind of linger. I don't know if it's the oils from the whiskey or what it is, but you then get kind of an aftertaste of fruit, the kind of apricot, that kind of thing, just kind of linger in your mouth. Then that disappears, and then you get the coffee bitterness. That is a really strange combination. It's actually really pleasant though, because you get the fruitiness. So it's probably quite nice as a breakfast coffee with whiskey, but yeah. Who cares, eh? Day off work, that's what you need. Okay, as always, it smells of bitters. Okay, this whiskey doesn't overpower the bitters. It's still incredibly bitter, but it does give some of the fruit to it. So once again, it's the apricot and that kind of thing is definitely in there. It pushes it more away from the kind of citrusy bitter to more fruity and bitter. It's interesting. There's not a strong alcohol flavour, which is something I kind of like in an old fashioned, although it is heavily sweetened and has bitters and so on. I think that's why the bourbons work, because bourbons tend to be a little bit more harsh with the alcohol, so that's why an old fashioned works with them. But I think the Speysides and so on are kind of too muted and too nuanced to actually do much to it. It's still pleasant. It's a nice drink on a hot day. It's cold. It's slightly sweet. It's slightly fruity, and it's got bitter aftertaste, so it's okay, but not great. I still prefer, obviously, as always, that. So plain is nice to sip. Interesting. It's got a few different flavors in there for you to kind of locate, so it's not completely boring. With ice, once again, I'm not a fan. It strips out what's interesting about it. With the Coke, it makes it a little bit fruity, which is quite interesting. Nothing overpowering or too alcohol, just a nice little bit of fruit. The coffee was interesting, giving the fruit aftertones and stripping away some of the bitterness until the aftertaste, which was very peculiar. And as I said, the cocktail, not great, so stick with that with a Speyside, because they are more subtle and designed to be enjoyed neat. Anyway, I will just ramble on otherwise if I let myself, so I shall finish there. Thanks a lot for watching. Please come and see me again soon. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'll do a whiskey every week on Wednesday, hence Whiskey Wednesday. And please tell other people and feel free to comment. That would be fantastic. Come back and see me soon. Bye bye for now.